Cool. So I just want to talk about my $824 Asia win today. I caught 104 points for a 1 to 2.3 risk reward. Now, this trade actually started on the daily chart for me. Clean this up a little bit. So, I guess on the daily, you could say that we are in a bearish trend. I mean, I probably wouldn't call it that. I would call it consolidation. But as you can see, we had swept Tuesday's high, so putting in a C2 candle, looking for a C3 continuation. So once I have that kind of look in my head, I'm refining from there. So I'm going daily to the 4, and this is where the trade thesis will kind of come into play. On the day, given that we did sweep out the previous day high, I am leaning towards more sells and bearish targets. Just given that we had also sold off during New York. And what I'm finding is if we're selling off during New York, Asia tends to consolidate, sweep aside accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and then go for the opposing, usually 15-minute gap. So as you can see, this was mitigated, but this is the swing that I was targeting here. So going back to the 4 hourly, apologies for a messy chart, but we also do have this this 4 hourly gap, sorry. So coming into the day, daily C2, C3 continuation, open, high, low and close I was looking for. The 4 hourly coming up into this 4 hourly gap in Asia. At the moment, at that point in time, we had still been respecting this hourly gap as well. So this is where the trade kind of took place. To me personally, I'm bearish right now. However, it doesn't mean that my opinions can't change. And I think that's something that I'm still working on, kind of playing what the charts are showing me and then taking my entry model if it's presented. So this is where my trade took place. And the main thing for me actually was this massive SMT with ES. So ES actually took this 15-minute high in New York. So we had a bearish SMT with ES, as you can see. ES took New York high, whereas NQ failed to massively. So that was my first indication. And once I had that indication, it kind of solidified my bearish bias for the day. And when I say bearish bias, I'm not bearish the whole day, obviously, and I am scalp trading, so take that into consideration. We are also respecting this 15-minute gap, so SMT into the 4 hourly gap, respecting the 1 hourly, and then respecting the 15. So now I'm coming down into the 5 and just slowly refining everything. So as we can see, we've got a V-shaped reversal off the bottom in New York, putting in the previous day and New York low. This was the only thing that did kind of psych me out a little bit, because a V-shaped reversal off the bottom with a massive 15-minute CISD usually does kind of signal that we are going for higher prices. However, considering that we were respecting such high time frame gaps with a massive SMT, that kind of allowed me to have the confidence to take this with full size. And full size for me, complete transparency, is $300, like $300 per RR. So going back to the trade, I took this in the Q3 window. So if anyone's familiar with quarterly price theory, when we break up price into 90-minute increments and then we break that down again into Q3 window. So this Q3 window from, let me go into the 1 minute where I actually took the execution. starting from 9:15. So at 9:15, we came up, accumulation, manipulation of the high of the consolidation range at the start of Asia. So accumulation, manipulation, we came into the Q3 window. So in the Q3 window, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a sweep of a draw on liquidity. So for example, the sweep for me was the SMT into the 15-minute and the 4-hourly, or the H4, sorry. And then I'm looking for displacement plus a inverse of a gap. So as we can see, accumulation into the start of Asia, we went into the Q3 macro at 2015, which is like 9:15. Sorry, I'm in Australia, so it's a bit different for me. So once I saw this sweep, my bearish bias allowed me to take this. Now, it's something that I've really been happy with myself, building a trade thesis and only kind of letting it build and then taking entries off the back of that. Not just going straight into the 1 minute, finding any kind of fair value continuation or any reaction of any gap and taking it, right? So like building my trade thesis and then taking trades off the back of that. So here you can see my entry with 4 micros. So I entered on the 2016 candle once we had that strong displacement down. We obviously didn't close, but once I saw this strong displacement, I was happy to take it. So I entered and then I ended up trailing my stops. Now I actually got really lucky, full transparency on my stops. So once we came down here, we had that nice displacement lower. I actually trailed my stops to 1-to-1. So cool. So I actually, not to 1-to-1, sorry, just to the nearest swing high. So I actually trailed my stops up here to this swing. Now, I probably should have, in hindsight, left it break even, but I did take a pretty bad loss. Well, not bad, only a 1-to-1, but I took a bad read, should I say, on Wednesday, and then that kind of skewed my psychology. But in saying that, sometimes you do get lucky. So I had my stops up here, and I think I didn't get stopped out for like just on like 10 points maybe. Yes, 7 points pretty much. So once I saw this momentum push through here, I moved my stops to this swing. And then from here, I eventually ended up trailing aggressively. So once we broke down out of this mini consolidation and we were respecting kind of 1 minute structure and this 2 minute gap, we had no body closes in this 2 minute gap. I was happy to then trail my stops to here and then to here. And then eventually I was trailing my stops all the way down to this swing low. Once we broke down here, I trailed them to here on this swing. My full target was this 4-hourly low on that 4-hour candle, but overall I'm pretty happy with that result there. Cool, so that was my first trade recap actually. I've never filmed a video like this before. I don't know, I hope this helps someone. If anyone has any questions, more than happy to answer. I know it's very all over the place and rusty, but I'm sure I'll get better, and if you have any questions, let me know. Cheers.